Tēnā rā tātou katoa e te iwi, e te whānau whānui o Taranaki. Nau mai haere mai ki tēnei Taiohi Hour. Ko ai ahau, ko Taranaki te maunga, ko Waingongoro te awa, ko Aotea te waka, ko ngā ruahine rawa ko ngā tiruanui o ku iwi, ko araukuku tōku hapu, ko ngā rongo tōku marae ko te Whatumanawa Ngatai Tangirua tōku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā tātou katoa. By day, I am a Māori Health Recruitment Officer for Whakapikiake at the University of Auckland, and by night I'm a dancer for the Royal Family Dance Company. Today, we are talking about all things Hauora Māori, a kaupapa I am very passionate about, and I know our guests are too. So it is my pleasure to introduce our awesome panel to you all, and I'm just going to get right into it, and I'm going to hoatu te rākau ki a koe Zaine to start our introductions. Kia ora.
Kia ora, tēnā koe Mara, nau e whakatō te mauri ki tēnei kaupapa. Tēnā rā tātou katoa, ko ai tēnei, huri whakahiki tēnei no tūwhare toa, ngai te rangi, ngā tika hanunu ki te Wairoa hoki, ko Zaine Akuhata Huntington tōku ingoa. And yeah, sure, I'll follow your sort of structure. It's much more scripted than what I had planned whatu. So by day, I'm a professional practice fellow at Akuhata Centre for Hauora Māori at the University of Otago. And that's just some really flash kupu for my mahi, which is just teaching Hauora Māori at the university, mostly into our medical school, our dental school, and our undergraduate Bachelor of Health Sciences program, which is pretty mean. But outside of that, I'm an avid skier. In a past life, I was a ski instructor, and you can see my babies in the background just there, my prized possessions. I just love all things outdoors, all things Hauora Māori, all things Māori in general. As well, but we'll learn more about each other as we go along, I reckon. So I'm going to hoatu te raku kia koe Lucy.
Tēnā koe Zaine. Tēnā tātou, ko ai tēnei ko Lucy Marshall tōku ingoa, he uri whakahiki tēnei o tūwhare toa raukawa ki whare puhunga me ka hungunu ki te Wairoa. He pānga hoki aku ki te Atiawa, ngā tito rangatira me te whanau apanui. Hi everyone, I'm Lucy. I'm from Taupo, that's where I grew up with my grandparents on a marae called Pokura. By day, I was a tauira, but I've just recently finished, so I should be a nurse soon. Next year, I'll be working in the emergency department at North Shore Hospital. I live in Rakipai Whenua. Yeah, that's me. Kia ora.
Oh,
over to you, Marie.
Oh, we're just going to have to chuck you off mute there. Kei te pai, that's all good. Otherwise, you've got me to do it for you.
I could do sign language, but I wasn't going to pull that off. So aroha mai, ko Māori ahau, no Taranaki ahau. I am a mama of 4. I live in Waitara. I grew up in the Chatham Islands. I work for Taranaki Maunga Project, which is basically an organisation that is part of pest control on Taranaki, among other things. I am passionate about rongoa Māori, and what else? I'm a beekeeper in my pastime.
That's great.
Ai, kia ora koutou.
Ka pai. Well, I would like to just extend my mihi out to my panel, as they are just a complete awesome bunch of people, and I think they do a very good job at showing themselves off, so I'll do that for them throughout our kōrero tonight. So what we're going to do is we're just going to be having a good old kōrero about Hauora Māori and kind of just our whakaaro and experiences around what that means for us. But before we get started, I'm just going to mention that we have a giveaway on offer, and that is our $50 Rebel Sports voucher, as well as a 1-hour PT session with one of our ambassadors, Bonnie Jane PT. And our winner will be chosen from within the comments and announced later, so just keep an eye out for that. Okay, and so I'm just going to start throwing some questions out there to you, whānau, so pick them up and we'll see where this goes. So our first question is, what is Hauora Māori? Who would like to take the first leap? Go on, you got this, guys. Any one of you. All right, we just...
No, come on, I got it. I got us. We'll kick us off. We'll get into it.
Yeah, same order.
For me, I guess Hauora Māori to me is everything. It's like our life. It's everything that we do. It's a beautiful journey that we are on throughout our whole lives, and it's something that we share with our whānau, with our friends, with our hapu, with our iwi, with ngā tangaka katoa, I guess. So yeah, it's a beautiful waka that we're all on together. That's a little bit of what it is to me.
Nice. And what about you, Lucy? What do you think?
I think Hauora Māori. Oh, it's like a simple question, but hard.
Yes.
But to me, I think our hauora as Māori is something that is unique to us. It's very different to what non-Māori perceive health to be. I feel like every single individual and every single ethnicity has their own idea of health and things that are important. It's something that's been handed down to us from our ancestors, and but has also been ever changing since our ancestors walked this earth. You know, it's very much changed and has very much been impacted by Western ideologies of health these days. And it's just, I guess, something that us rangatahi can strive for is to, safeguard our hauora, but also try and incorporate our tikanga into this new idea that is Hauora Māori today. So yeah, I think it's very unique. And
Nice.
it's ours.
That's a great answer. Ka pai. What about you, Marie? What do you think?
Make sure I'm unmuted this time. For me, well, it's a bit hard coming last, but I just really think a lot to me, it comes back to our whenua, and I think we're a real reflection of our whenua. And so in some situations we're in a good state, but in others not so much. So maybe when we I think for Māori it's very different, because I don't think necessarily the Western world would reflect on themselves as how well they're doing in themselves as can be impacted by the whenua both ways, be it giving back to the whenua means that usually our own selves, our own hauora picks up, or vice versa. If when our whenua is depleted, then we are too. So that's probably, to me, just maybe the difference between us and other societies. Yeah.
Cool. So I think what we're sharing here is that. Could I get you on mute, kia ora? So what I think we've covered is that Hauora Māori is big kaupapa, but within our own personal beliefs, we have our own understandings of what that means, but it is connected by tikanga, it's connected by mātauranga Māori, and at the base of it we have our taiao, our hononga there, our connections there. So I kind of just want to throw kind of a side question in there, because I think it plays a nice role in this. And it comes to that idea of when you're born as Māori, and this is just something that I believe, is you're born with the role as a kaitiaki, okay, as a caretaker. And that's in relation not just as to you taking care of yourselves and others, but also you're a kaitiaki of your taiao and your pepeha. What do you guys have to say about that in terms of what we can be doing as kaitiaki and how that applies to our Hauora Māori? Who would like to answer that?
Sorry, I cut out. Could you repeat the question, Whatu?
Yep. So, we as Māori, we have this role as a kaitiaki, and, I can give a clue in the sense of when we think about our pepeha. Yep. And at each element of, or each aspect of our pepeha, we have a role as a kaitiaki to take care of that, right? How does that serve in relation to our impact on our hauora? Maybe if something negative was to happen to an aspect of our pepeha in relation to us as kaitiaki, what does that then have an impact on our hauora?
Yeah, well, I think Marie really encapsulated part of the answer in hers just before when she was talking about the whenua, and that really unique and special relationship we have as Māori to the whenua. You can take the kupu hauora in itself and take that hau out of it and think of the wind. And for me, we think of like health as sort of being something intangible that we all have, or something that we can't really sense or feel. We know it's a thing that exists, but we don't see it. You just know that your heart beats, or that you are breathing in and out, or whatever. But for me, when I think of that aspect of hau in hauora, That's the wind. You can put your hand out and you can touch those things. You can look out to the taiao. You can look out to the moana. You can look out to the wai. You can see how all those things are doing, whether they're thriving or whether they're struggling or whatever it may be. And I think those things reflect on ourselves. I think with just even my room, if my room's messy, it's typically a reflection of what's going on upstairs or what's just happening in my life. Like things are just chaotic or whatever. But on days like today where I've hopefully got my stuff together, it's a bit cleaner and it looks a bit better. So all those sorts of things, like I think we often conceptualize health and well-being as being something that just sort of exists on this continuum or whatever, and not something that we really have an influence on physically. But I think it is something tangible that we can touch on and can influence and can see. And I guess that's where our role of kaitiaki comes in, because if we can see those things, we can do something about them, whether it's positive or to just like whakapai those things or whatever.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that sets a great tone for our kōrero tonight, so I'm going to keep it moving. And I kind of want you guys to take yourselves back to a younger version of yourself and start thinking about, and this is a two-parter, what inspired you to pursue a career in health, or kind of where you guys are at today, and what is your why factor for doing so? Okay, so we'll follow our same order. And yeah, let me hear what you guys have to say about that.
What first inspired me for a career in health was that I grew up with severe eczema growing up. So I was in and out of the doctors and really didn't have a very great experience in terms of my condition, I guess you call it. It really played a part on all sides of my hauora, especially my self-esteem. And I really wanted to empathize with people like me and help others, because I really appreciated the care that health professionals provided for me. And also tied to that, growing up on my marae with my grandparents, who are the ahika of our marae paukura. I was always at kaupapa. We were always looking after, like what we just talked about before, we're kaitiaki of our whenua, and of our hapu and our iwi. So I feel like, not to brag, but manaakitanga is in my DNA, and there's no better career path than nursing. To me, manaakitanga, caring for others, is a key, if not the most important value of nursing. And we work most intimately with patients and with people, and that's what I love doing and what I'm passionate about. And of course, just tied to that is just being Māori, and like we've already talked about, safeguarding our hauora and the inequitable outcomes that our people face today really motivates me. That's my why and why I got into health.
Awesome. Let's keep it going.
Ka pai. That's awesome. That's awesome, Lucy. I really, I can really feel that for myself as well, like with basically for rongoa Māori, like it's really about others, isn't it? And it's, for me, it came naturally from loving the ngāere. And then obviously the medicinal side to that, really it's about helping meet other people's needs, really. I mean, you do harvest rongoa for yourself, but 99% of the time it's for others, to see where you can help others, building relationship and making those connections. I think for me, my why was accidental. I didn't choose rongoa Māori, it really chose me. I didn't grow up with that sort of knowledge per se, but I grew up in the bush, and it translated into that as I got older. When I say I grew up in the bush, I mean that was our playground as young children. Yep. And just, it's funny how what you love to do when you were little, or even rangatahi, what you're drawn towards ends up becoming your career path. So rongoa is something that, as much as rongoa can be healing to other people, and going out and harvesting and being in that ngahere is healing to me. So, and then hopefully, first and foremost, it's healing to papa, for us to be in those places and, be our eyes and ears to the whenua. Kia ora.
Awesome. What about you, Zaine?
Well, I've been stitched up following those two. But I guess I'll just share the story that I tell our tauira at the university. For me, I always had an interest in health and well-being. I always saw it as like a vehicle for reciprocation, be able to give back to others that had given to you growing up and stuff. So when I came to uni, I was like, oh yeah, keen as to do or follow a career path in health or something. And I thought that looked like medicine at the time. So I went down to Dunedin, did first year health site and failed half my papers. So I was like, cool, not the path for me yet. Let's find another one. So I left, and that's when I decided to become a ski instructor. Because that was something I loved and it was a passion. I'd always grown up around the mountains and stuff, and that was a place that felt safe and like hope for me. So I was like, let's give that a crack. Went up and had a mean season, and then there was one whānau that I met that they'd come over from Australia, and the mum was Australian, the dad was Australian, but he had Indian whakapapa, and they had two beautiful boys as well. And dad and their two boys were brown skinned. The boys were super quick at picking up the skiing skills and everything, but dad was struggling a little bit throughout the week. And then one thing he just said to me just stuck with me, and he goes, oh no, like it's just not for me, brown people like don't ski. And it just sort of struck a chord with me, because I was like, bro, I'm brown and I'm like skiing. If I can do it, any of us can. And it like just made me dwell on that for a bit, and it made me realize that people don't see themselves as being, especially Indigenous peoples or people who often feel like marginalized in society and stuff, don't feel like they have access to the same opportunities, or don't think that they're just as capable as their peers. So for me, that just drove me to go back to uni and go, oh no, we need to like change those sorts of whakaaro and people's thinking around that sort of thing. So I went back and did my studies in Māori health as another vehicle of supporting the health and well-being, the hauora of everyone, of Māori in particular. And for me, that was one of the driving factors, I guess, that influenced me to go back into that, even though it started off quite bumpy and rough. Eventually got there at the end, and now it's crack up as that I like teach the things that I used to be a student in. So that's sort of full circle for me, and I get to see myself giving back now, which is mean.
Awesome. And thank you guys so much for sharing. And I just want to spotlight in that moment real quick. So don't panic, but Zaine and Lucy, for our rangatahi mā, when we could think about some advice that we can give to them who could be interested in taking up a career in health, or, you know, could pursue a direction towards Māori health, what are some of the advice that you could give to them?
Don't let anybody tell you what you can or can't do. If there's a will, there is 100% a way. And I think that's the beauty of Te Māori as well, is that we're seeing this growth and development of these, well, take these two wahine toa down here, who are like championing areas in their spaces for Māori, are carving out paths for you to follow. And hopefully you'll be able to carve your own path in those spaces as well. So if there's a will, there's a way. Don't listen to what other people say.
Kia ora.
Yeah.
Lucy?